Hello Sydney, Russ here from the Social Collective. I want to share a story with you about a famous actress called Marilyn Monroe. Recently I've had a few people asking me, oh look, what is charisma? And is it something you're born with? Is it something you can learn? Is it something that just, the cool kids at school had that you could just turn on or turn off? What is it? And my answer is charisma is not something you're born with. It is not something that you only the cool kids had or have. It's something you can learn. It's a skill set that you can internalize and grow into if you really want to make change. And I recently read a book by a lady called Olivia Fox Cabernet, and the book's called The Charisma Myth. Fantastic book. If you've not read it, please go out, buy it now, start to read it. You will like it. And there's a story in that book about Marilyn Monroe. And I want to share the story with you because it was a real turning point in my mind when I thought about becoming more charismatic. So Olivia Fox Cabernet writes about charisma being related to, so she calls charisma personal magnetism. And she mentions how Marilyn Monroe had huge amounts of personal magnetism. Now, she tells a story, so let's see if I can do it justice. In 1955, Marilyn Monroe, in an effort to prove something to the critics, grabbed a photographer and took him onto the subway and spent the day riding the subway with him. Marilyn Monroe's real name was Norma Jean Baker, and she used to call this her Baker mode, which meant she just sat there and she was quiet, she didn't do anything, and she was wearing just her normal clothes. She wasn't like today's celebrities with a big hat and a hoodie and glasses hiding away from the world. She just sat on that train as herself, and she rode that subway with the photographer sitting there. On that ride, very few people came up to her, very few people came over and had a chat with her. No one really recognized her, and they just kind of got on with their day. Eventually, she turned to the photographer and said, let's get out of here, come on. And they made their way up to the subway surface, so onto the street. And she looked at the photographer and she said to him, are you ready to see her now? So the photographer was like, yeah, let's do it. And got his camera together and got ready. And with no more, I think Olivia Fox Cabernet writes, with no more of a fluff of her hair and a change in her demeanor, she became Marilyn Monroe. And she was radiating personal magnetism. Suddenly, people from all around started to recognize her, wanted her autograph, came over to chat to her, and she near enough had to get ushered away into a taxi and taken away before she got mobbed. Now, what that says to me is that regardless to you being an introvert or an extrovert, if you learn to master your social confidence, if you learn to really get a handle on what your social identity is, you can turn charisma on or turn it off at the right times. You can learn to be very, very charismatic and be oozing personal magnetism, and you can be very quiet and reserved when you want to be. It is not an innate feature. You are not born with it. It is something you can learn and something you can control and utilize depending on your environment and what you want to achieve out of it. It fascinated me because I honestly didn't know that you could have such diversity in the levels of charisma and charm and personal magnetism that you bring to the table. Sometimes you just need to be reserved, quiet, and a very, very good listener. You can still be incredibly engaging. Sometimes you need to be high energy and fun and interesting and high-five people and just be the life and soul of the party, and you can also still be incredibly engaging. You can turn your charisma on, and you can turn your charisma off. So, anyway, I'm not too sure if I did that story justice, but please get out there, find the book and read it. Let me know your thoughts, let me know what you think. And it was great chatting to you. All right, speak to you soon, Sydney. See you later. Bye.